First of all, I congratulate to the Department of Geography, Dr. Sattar Madam and Dr. Gadkari Madam for organizing such a necessary workshop. I mean course on research ethics and some of the conceptual backgrounds related to research ethics. Thank you very much for kind introductory word, Siley. At the outset, I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Sanjukta Sattar Madam, Professor and Head Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, and the coordinator of Research Center, Research Activities, and very dynamic person, that is Dr. Dipali Gadkari, and her entire team for giving me an opportunity to deliver a talk on impact factors. Let me share my screen. Madam, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share my views related to impact factor. Dear participants, I have prepared this lecture considering all the learners, I mean participants are very beginners in the field of impact factor, plagiarism, and the techniques are in the area of research ethics. So it will be beneficial to all the beginners, as well as it will be addition of some knowledge if the person is aware about background of the impact factor. Within this half an hour, I am going to deliver a talk on history of impact factors, then conceptual framework of impact factor, how impact factor has been calculated, what are the standard in indexing agencies, what are the agencies that are being uh, working in the area of impact factor. Impact factors of journals as per journal citation reports. It is also called as Thomson-Reuters impact factor, and as per the UGC standards and UGC care list, we should have impact factor either from a journal citation report or the journals like Web of Science, Scopus, etc. These are some of the standard indexing agencies, and if the paper has been published in that journal which has indexing system throughout the world, it is also considered. Then source normalized impact per paper, scientific journal ranking, then impact per publication, Cite Score. These are the some of the important impact factor providing agencies, and we are going to talk or discuss concerning the same. Also, we will discuss on list of journals having very high impact factor in general as well as in the field of geography. Then limitations in the calculation of impact factor. Pseudo impact factor, what does mean by pseudo impact factor? There are some of the predatory journals that are claiming that their impact factor is at the higher side. Also, we will talk about the same. After the lecture, the learners, participants or students will be able to remember the history and concept of impact factor. When does the impact factor was evolved, and what is its conceptual background? Then students will be able to understand the framework of impact factor. Then students will apply the equation to find out the impact factor of the journal. Suppose the student is going to publish his or her research paper and journal is claiming that their impact factor is 10 or something else. At that time, after this lecture, if student has attended this lecture very carefully, he will be able to determine either the impact factor provided by that journal is really or realistic or it is pseudo one. Then students will be able to analyze pseudo and realistic impact factors. Also, students will be able to evaluate impact factor of a journal. These are some of the learning objectives I set forth at the initial stage for this lecture. Before proceeding towards impact factor, you must be aware about some of the important terminologies. And I am sure these terminologies might be covered before this by other persons, or some may be covered by in the forthcoming sessions. But only I will list here what are the things that you are necessarily aware about. You should be aware about the peer-reviewed and refereed journals before publishing your research paper. Also, you should be aware about what does mean by indexing, what are the standard indexing agencies throughout the world, what does mean by citation, how we can cite a article, a research paper, a book chapter, etc. Then we should be aware about the citation index. We should be aware about H index, then item index, plagiarism. These are some of the fundamental concepts, and I'm sure if you are aware about these terminologies at that time, you will be definitely understand what does mean by impact factor. And really, if a journal is claiming that their impact factor is 5.2, either it is realistic or pseudo, what are the criterias are being used by that journal for the calculation of impact factor, that fundamental understanding will be beneficial to you. Here I am going to list out standard indexing agencies. Also, I am not going to talk on standard indexing agencies in detail because this topic might be covered by any other resource person or will be covered by any other resource person. But before proceeding towards impact factor, we should be aware about standard indexing agencies, and it includes Thomson ISI, journal citation, that is Thomson Reuters citation, Thomson Reuters biological abstracts. This is another one standard indexing agencies. It can be included in standard indexing agencies. Elsewhere, Embassy is there, then Medline, then Index Medicus, Science Citation Index, that is SCI. This is also one of the important standard indexing agencies. Then Google Scholar, we are now widely we are using Google Scholar, but for the academic purposes, we only consider the impact factor provided by Thomson Reuters impact factor or indexing agencies, or the impact factor of Web of Science, Scopus indexing agencies, etc. But then also Google Scholar is one of the indexing agencies. Then Scopus, PubMed, Evesco, then IJI factor is one of the important indexing agencies. Embase is there. Then DOAG, ISI indexing, Psi, then Schimango JR, OAJI, Index Copernicus, OpenJGate, then Ulrich International Periodical Directory, and BASE. These are some of the important indexing agencies. We are not going to discuss in detail about these standard indexing agencies. If we talk about history of impact factor, it was devised by Eugene Garfield. He was the founder of Institute of Scientific Information, that is ISI, in Philadelphia, and he created the impact factor in the year 1954, and it is available through Thomson Reuters impact factor or journal citation reports. It was first evaluated or created in 1950s, and but since 1975 it is widely used to calculate the impact factor of journals indexed in Thomson Reuters reports or journal citation reports. If the journal is indexed in JCR, that is journal citation report, at that time impact factor will be calculated according to Thomson Reuters. Then initially the impact factor is calculated for only for publications indexed in Thomson Reuters Web of Science database. But nowadays we can say that you can Google it, that there are various indexing agencies, and that indexing agencies are providing impact factor to various journals. What does mean by impact factor? Impact factor is commonly used to evaluate the relative importance of journal within its field. Suppose any journal is they are related to either related to geography or economics or chemistry or any branch of knowledge. At that time, what is the relevance of that journal in that field? And for the measurement of relative relevance, impact factor is widely used, and generally it measures the average article in a journal has been cited in a particular time period, and generally 2 year period is considered for providing the impact factor to any research journal. Then it is used to measure importance or rank of a journal by calculating the time, uh, then a number of articles cited. The journal impact factor for a given year is the number of citations during the year and articles published in the previous 2 years divided by the number of articles published in the previous 2 years. Here we will see how to calculate the impact factor of a journal. For example, here 2017 impact factor of Nature has been considered. Citations during 2016 and during 2015 are considered here, and you can see that during 2016 number of citations are 32,389, and during 2015 it was 41,701. Publications during 2016 and 2015 were 880 and 902, and if we use this equation to calculate the impact factor, the impact factor is 41.577. This is the impact factor of Nature for the year 2017. You should be aware about that the impact factor always changes with the march of time. Suppose for example in the year 2019 X journal is at the top rank. In the year 2020 or 21 another Y journal may be go ahead or proceed ahead concerning the impact factor. It depends upon how many articles are published in that journal during that 2 year period and how many citations are there during that period. Here you can see if I click here on you will go towards elsewhere site. If the journal is providing such type of information, Cite score is there, impact factor is there, acceptance rate is there, then time of first decision, review time, publication time, and other some important information if provided by the journal at that time, that journal is providing the realistic impact factor. Otherwise there are some of the journals are there, or we can say predatory journals are there. Those journals generally provide the fake impact factor, and we consider that our paper has been published in higher impact factor, or the journal which has 10 or 7.2 impact factor, but in reality that impact factor is considered as a fake impact factor because it is that journal is not indexed in a scientific or in a standard indexing agencies or database. ResearchGate is one of the open source database that provides impact factor for journals, but sometimes you may find that it seems that for your paper there are 4 citations on ResearchGate, but there may be a possibility actually your research paper or that journal if not indexed in a standard indexing agency, at that time your the citation score will not be appear on your paper, or you will not get sufficient citations for your paper. We are going to discuss about the impact factor, that is journal citation reports, then SNIP, IPP, Cite Score, etc. First important is journal citation reports. It is also called as Thomson Reuters product and can be accessed from Web of Science. For that purpose, you should have account to Web of Science database, and then you will be able to access all the journals index in journal citation reports. The Journal Citation Reports database provides impact factors and rankings of many journals across many subject categories in sciences and social sciences. You will be surprised that there are so many articles are there, journals are there, which are related to our subject. Few days before, I was just searching and I found that there are 777 journals are there related to directly or indirectly related to geography that are indexed in journal citation report, that is Thomson Reuters. Then it offers other journal metric including Eugene factor score, article influence score, total sites, total articles, and immediacy index. If we want to understand these concepts in detail, you should visit to this site, and here you will be able to find or demarcate that immediacy is the average number of times an article cited in the year it published. Then 5-year impact factor, this is another important concept, and the average number of times articles from the journal published in the past 5 years have been cited in the JCR year. Suppose we are calculating the impact factor for the year 2021, that will be JCR year, and for that purpose we will use the citations previous 5 years, that is 2015 to 2020, this, sorry, 2016 to 2020. These 5 years data or citations will be used for the calculation of 5-year impact factor. Then impact factor without self cites, because for if you have published your research paper in sustainable development journal, and for the calculation of impact factor sometimes self citations might be omitted, that is impact factor without self cites. Then Eisen factor score, this is one of the important terminology related to JCR, and it is based on the number of times articles from the journal published in the past 5 years have been cited in the JCR year. Again, I already talked about the JCR year, but it also considers which journal have contributed these citations, so that highly cited journals will influence the network more than lesser cited journals, and it excludes journal self citation. Generally, we are aware about author self citation. Similarly, journal self citation is excluded while calculating the Eisen factor score. Then cited half life, this is one of the important terminology related to JCR, and it is median age of articles were cited in the JCR year. Then citing half-life, that is median age of articles cited by the journal in the JCR year. If you have the login ID for Web of Science, at that time you will be able to find out the impact factor of journal of your interest. Here you can see select category, that is subject has been selected here, political science, and concerning political science, these are the various journals, and these are the top 5 journals. For example, American Journal of Political Science, World Politics, then Review of International Political Economy, then international organizations, political analysis, etc. And in the area of political science, highest impact factor is 5.00, sorry, 5.044. Similarly, you can find out the journal or impact factor of the journal in the area of geography and sustainable development. Okay. JCR also provides 5-year impact factor. We have already discussed about the same. Then a comprehensive resources that allows user to evaluate and compare journals using citation data drawn from scholarly and technical journals from publishers over 80 countries. You can see the various journals from 80 countries have been listed, I mean indexed in journal citation report. This is the positive side of the journal citation report, and I am very glad to convey that India's rank is 7th. India is at the 7th rank in journal citation report regarding the quality of journals. At the top, US is there and India is at the 7th rank. We are going to analyze in detail concerning the same. It is only source of citation data on journals, and it includes virtually all areas of science, technology, and social sciences. Journal citation report is a product of ISI, of Web of Knowledge. If you go to Web of Science or Web of Science official website, at that time there are two aspects are there. One is original login and another one is login through pub mode. And if you have logged in through pub mode, at that time you are able to access all the database, the details of the journals. Also you can create your own profile on Web of Science. There are more than 12,000 journals on indexed in JCR, and all are indexed in Web of Science, that is Thomson Reuters. Generally, we are talking that in geography we are lagging behind. We don't have standard journals indexed in international database, but I think it may be our misconception, because yeah, there are 777 journals which are directly or indirectly related to geography and geographical research. This is another part I am going to discuss. It is not directly related with the impact factor, but it is a part and parcel of impact factor. Center for Science and Technology Studies. Generally, it provides 4 indicators, and it includes P, then IPP, SNIP, and percentage of self-citation. Based on these 4 criteria, the impact factor of a journal or quality of the journal has been decided. P is the number of publications of a source in the past 3 years. Generally, we have discussed that for the calculation of impact factor, Scopus is considering the publications and citations between during the previous 2 years. But CWTS, that is Center for Science and Technology Studies, considers the past 3 years publications, that is P. Then IPP is the impact per publication. And how it is calculated? It is calculated as the number of citations given in the present year. That is, suppose we are talking about for the year concerning the year 2021, 2 publications in the past 3 years divided by total number of publications in the past 3 years, and using this equation we can calculate the IPP, that is impact per publication. Then SNIP, that is source normalized impact per publication. Here we are focusing on normalization of impact. It is not a raw impact, it is a normalized impact, and it is calculated as the number of citations given in the present year to publications in the past 3 years divided by the total number of publications in the past 3 years. The difference with IPP is that case of SNIP citations are normalized. It means normalized. The process of normalization has been carried out to determine the SNIP for any journal. Then percentage of self cite, the percentage of self citation of a source calculated as the percentage of all citations given in the present year publications in the past 3 years that originate from source itself. SNIP stands for Source Normalized Impact per paper, and it measures contextual citation impact by weighting citations based on total number of citations in the subject field. The impact of a single citation is given higher value in subject areas where citations are less likely and vice versa. Unlike the well-known journals impact factor, SNIP corrects for differences in citation practices, because there are various citation practices are there, and uh, concerning the SNIP, practices between citation are corrected. This is the basic difference between SNIP and other impact factors. And CWTS, that is Center for Technological Studies journal indicators, also provide stability intervals that indicate the reliability of SNIP value of a journal. Generally, in the year 2009, the SNIP were using citations by normalizing the citation value. Then it was taking research field citation frequency into account. Then it was considering immediacy, how quickly a paper is likely to have an impact in a given field. Then accounts for how well the field is covered by underlying database, and calculate without use of journals subject classification to avoid delimitation. While considering SNIP, this was the procedure in the year 2009. It was not classified according to subjects. Then it was considering the database, then immediacy, etc. But in the year 2012, it was revised, and it was considering the P. I already talked about P. P is the number of publications of a source in the past 3 years. Then RIP, that is raw impact per publication. This was considered in the year 2012 for the calculation or estimation of or determination of SNIP, and RIP was calculated as the number of citations given in the present year to publications in past 3 years divided by total number of publications in the past 3 years. Also, it was RIP is fairly similar to the well-known journal impact factor. Like the journal impact factor, RIP does not correct differences in citation practices between scientific fields. This was the change in the year 2012. Another key area or indexing agency, you can say, that is scientific journal rankings. It is also called as Scimango journal and country rank. The Scimango journal rank is indicator is a measure of scientific influence of scholarly journals that accounts for both the number of citations received by a journal and the importance of prestige of the journal where the citations come from. A journal SJR, that is Scientific Journal Ranking Indicator, is a numeric value representing the average number of weighted citations received during a selected year per document published in that journal during the previous 3 years as indexed by Scopus. Higher SJR indicator values are meant indicate greater journal prestige. If we go to SJR website at that time, see here, you will be able to find out the journal. Suppose I am going to find out the journal related to geography. Just I will type here geography. Here journal of biogeography, paleogeography, paleoclimatology, then global ecology and biogeography, progress in human geography, etc. Various journals, those who have the world geography, and you can see here there are 74 such journals which are indexed in scientific journal ranking or SJR. If you click here journal ranking, see, and you click on geography, I will write here geography planning and development. Okay, see here there are 777 journals indexed in SJR, that is scientific journal ranking, and according to rank, if we talk about first five, first one will be global environmental change. Its SJR impact factor is 4.659. Then nature sustainability, progress in human geography, long range planning, journal of travel research, economic geography, etc. And you will be surprised, most of the geography journals are related to UK. If you see here the country flag, that most of the journals are either from UK or USA. Similarly, you find here country ranking, journal ranking, etc. Regarding country ranking, I already talked that India is at the 7th rank. Then SJR is developed by Skemango Lab, originated from research group at the University of Granada. The SJR indicator is a variant of eigenvector centrality measure used in network theory. Such measures establish the importance of a node in a network based on the principle that connections to high scoring nodes contribute more to the score of the node. Then the SJR indicator has been developed to be used in extremely large and heterogeneous journal citation network. It is a size independent indicator. It not depends upon the size of publication size. Its values order journal by their average prestige per article and can be used for journal comparisons in science evaluation processes also. The SJR indicator is a pre-journal metric inspired by and using an algorithm similar to PageRank. It is using algorithm related to PageRank, and it is a pre-metric of impact factor. Then in addition to the network based SJR indicator, the SJR also provides a more direct alternative to the impact factor in the form of average citations per document in a 2-year period, abbreviated as cites per doc 2I. This is the abbreviation. Another one, the key area related to impact factor is IPP, that is impact per publication. It is also known as RIP, that is raw impact per publication. The IPP is used to calculate SNIP, that is source normalized impact per publication, and IPP is a number of current year citation to the papers from the previous 3 years divided by the total number of papers in those 3 years. This is the method of calculating IPP of a journal. Then like the journal impact factor, actually SNIP, IPP, RIP are not the impact factors. These are the various methodologies used to determine the quality of the journal. And like the journal impact factor, that is regular impact, for example SJR is providing impact factor, it is not providing IPP or RIP or SNIP. IPP does not correct differences in citation practices between the scientific fields. IPP was previously known as RIP and now it is called as IPP. There is one another method, that is Cite Score, and generally it is used by Scopus. And Cite Score is another metric of measuring journal impact in Scopus. The calculation of Cite Score for the current year is based on number of citations received by a journal in the latest 4 years. Previously, it was considering the last 3 years data, but after 2019, it is considering last 4 years data, that is number of publications and number of citations during last 4 years. And here you can see, suppose you want to calculate the impact factor or Cite Score for the year 2019, you will be consider you will consider the number of documents published during last 4 years. Here for the year 2019, 2016 to 19 documents considered, and citations received for that documents divided by number of documents published in the year 2016-2019. This is the equation, and using this equation we can calculate the Cite Score. Cite Score metrics are a family of 8 indicators, and it includes Cite Score, then Cite Score Tracker, Cite Score Percentile, Cite Score Quartiles, Cite Score Rank, Citation Count, Document Count and Percentage Cited, etc. Various 8 metrics are there, and it is being used by Scopus for the uh, calculation of impact factor and impact of the journal. Suppose we are interested to publish our research paper in very high impact, the journal which has very high impact factor. In general, CA, that is Cancer Journal of Clinicians, has very high impact factor. It is 435.4. At the second rank, that is Natural Review Material, Quaternary Journal of Economics, then Nature Reviews Genetics, then Cell, Journal of Political Economy, then New England Journal of Medicine, then Econometrica. These are some of the journals which has very high impact factor in the field. We have already discussed about the same, that is if we talk about the journals having very high impact factor in the field of geography, at that time global environmental change is at the first rank, then nature sustainability, followed by progress in human geography, long range planning, journal of travel research, economic geography, then ISPRS journal of photogrammetry and remote sensing, and Willy interdisciplinary reviews climate change. There are 777, again and again I'm focusing on the same journals which are indexed in journal citation report. These are the various journals indexed in journal citation report, and according to, sorry, SJR, that is Scientific Journal Ranking. Now I will focus on what are the limitations in the calculation of impact factor, because impact factor is nothing but overall relative position of the journal, and there are various indexing agencies which are providing impact factor. I already talked about the same. Also, there are various methodologies. Some are considering the last 2 years publications and so number of citations during last year to that publications. Some journals or some agencies are using last 4 years database. Some indexing agencies are considering last 3 years database. But even though there are certain limitations, especially related to the journals in the area of humanities, arts, social sciences, etc. Especially the journals which are belonging to developing nations, underdeveloped nations, they are facing the same problem. First one is offline journal, because the concept of online journal in India uh, very powerfully came after 2006. Before that, no one was interested to publish research paper in online journal. All were publishing the research papers in offline journals. And if you consider the number of citations, there are very high number of citations, but problem is that offline journals are not indexed in these indexing agencies or standard indexing agencies. And it is the reason that even though your paper has received a 22 or more citations or 200 citations, 400 citations, it is not considered or it is not coming under any database. So this is the limitation while assigning the impact factor to journals. Another one is improper citation, or we are Indians, and sometimes we take the reference of a journal, but we are not interested to cite that article. For that, I am talking that improper citation. If you are not following the standard practices for citation, you are missing some keywords, you have misspelled the name of the author, the title of the journal, etc. At that time, number of citations will be less to that paper. Directly, it will be affect on number of citations by the journal and from the journal. Also, it will be adversely affect on impact factor of that journal. Another one is biasness. This is not my opinion, otherwise you will say Patil sir is saying that impact factor providing calculation, sometimes it is biased. It is the opinion of these three authors. And one important example or experience I would like to share with you. 2 years before, I had read one article in the year 2018 that one American fellow wrote an article that all the Indian journals are predatory. I read the article carefully, and I visited the websites of the journals to whom that American author called as a predatory journals. But these journals were following the practices that should be followed by any स्टैंडर्ड जर्नल. जो पेपर पब्लिश करना है उसके लिए जो भी प्रोसेस फॉलो करनी चाहिए वो सभी प्रोसेस वो जर्नल फॉलो कर रहे थे. फिर भी द पर्सन फ्रॉम यूएसए he included these journals in predatory journals. At that time it was purely biased. So this sentence I incorporated here. It should be noted that calculation of impact factors might be biased. Then, although it is mostly related to article citations, other factors include number of scholarly records published in the journals. But I am very sad to say that these factors or the other uh, parameters are not considered while assigning the impact factor to the journal. This is another parameter, that is quantity versus quality, and some journals increase the impact factor value by reducing the number of atoms. Here, for example, we will focus here that we have already talked about cancer journal of clinicians, and another one is nature. This is the data set for the year 2011 and 2013, because while calculating the impact factor, generally last 2 years publications and the citations for that 2 years publications are considered. If we look here, you will see that for CA journal, total number of publications were only 19 and total number of citations were 4,228. According to equation, the impact factor comes to 162.5. Except this, if we talk about Nature, they were published 841 research papers during 2011 and 13, and total number of citations were 37,642. In number, Nature is at the top, but in ratio, Nature is lagging behind. So the impact factor of Cancer journal is higher than the Nature. This is also one of the limitations in the calculation of impact factor. An analysis of 7,528 journals shown that 300 journals account more than 50% total number of citations. Then it means that the impact factor of the journal is driven by a small number of highly cited studies. Also, 38 million source items, about half, were not cited at all. Sometimes it happens that you have published your research paper and your research paper has not cited by any one, or only self citations are there. This is also limitation in the calculation of impact factor. And on the other hand, it is well known that most cited are methodology articles, and if you are going to publish a review article or methodology article, at that time you will get higher citations and it will affect on impact factor of that journal. Also, any journal which is publishing the review articles, that journal will have very high impact factor. Now, this is my question. Shall we use the journal impact factor as an indicator of individual article or research value? Suppose you have published your valuable article and article is very high quality, but the impact factor of the journal is around 1 or less than that. Does it mean that the quality of your research paper is not up to the mark? It doesn't. Now we will talk about pseudo impact factor. What does mean by pseudo impact factor? Because there are some of the predatory journals, like that predatory indexing agencies are there. They are not following the standard procedures while issuing the impact factor, and that impact factor may be considered as pseudo impact factor. And here you can see the journals which are not indexed in standard indexing agencies, their impact factor may be considered as a pseudo impact factor. Also, the indexing agencies which are not following the standard procedures for the calculation of impact factor, that impact factor will be considered as pseudo impact factors. Or journals publishing the papers within a couple of days or backdated, because now especially it happened after 2006, because in the sixth pay commission, UGC focused on publication of research papers, etc., and some predatory journals evolved with the march of time. And till today also there are certain journals are there, their standardization is questionable, their publication process is questionable. Also, they are publishing your research paper with backdated. Such practices are there in the market, and if such journals are claiming that their impact factor is 7.5 or something, it means their impact factor is pseudo impact factor. In the year 2019, on 14 June 2019, UGC has issued a public notice concerning the academic integrity, and according to this letter, any publication, this is most important for you, in predatory or dubious journals or presentations in predatory or dubious conferences should not be considered for academic credit, for selection, confirmation, promotion, performance appraisal, then award of scholarships or academic degrees or credit in any form with immediate effect. Research publications only from journals indexed in UGC care list, this is most important word for you, should be used for all academic purposes. You are a research scholar, you are getting the scholarships from UGC. Also, you need to publish some research papers before submission of your thesis. At that time, you see that your paper should be published in UGC care listed journals only. If we talk about UGC care list, previously in the year 2019 there were 4 groups, but later on now uh, these are these care list journals have been categorized into 2 lists only. There may be possibility that you don't have login ID for care. You should have. For that purpose, just visit ugccare.unipune.ac.in, this website. Click on login. Then you just log in here. After login, you will be able to find the journals related to group 1 and group 2. Here you can search any journal. Suppose I am talking about applied, my login details are incorrect, I will see later on, but you see that you just visit the UGC care. If you don't have account, just register, click on register here and create your own account, and then only you will be able to find out the journals provided into either group 1 or group 2. What is group 1 and group 2? Group 1 journals are journals found qualified through UGC care protocols, and now you can see, suppose it seems that there is some journals are there which are following the standard processes, and after peer review process they are publishing your research paper. That journals can be included in UGC care list group 1, and UGC care list group 2 is the journals indexed in globally recognized database for regarding which we have already talked, and there are certain notifications are there. You should be aware about this. For that purpose, kindly visit UGC care list without fail. Ma'am, thank you very much. I tried to explain the concept of impact factor.